effective trainers develop teaching processes that incorporate learner involvement. Training sessions that help the learner feel involved always produce positive results. And here's how.
In this phase of the learning development process, the course developer creates learning modules that will help the learners achieve the learning goals and objectives. In this phase, the course developer creates audiovisual and written materials to support the learning. Development steps checklist. A. Create a conceptual frame by grouping and combining learning goals and objectives into learning modules. B. Arrange the modules into a logical sequence. C. Identify and sequence learning activities within each module. D. Set time frames for activities and determine training schedule. E. Create logical transitional links between modules that help learners understand the direction and flow of the learning. Let's now look at an example of learning activities plan. For example, for the first 10 minutes, the activity could be learners to write down examples of positive and negative feedback they have received in the past. Share with their partner. This brings about a reflection of the learners. The next 15 minutes, the facilitator can deliver interactive presentation on effective feedback, including making it specific and behavioral, eliciting examples from learners. This is a way of a lecture. In the next 10 minutes, the activity could be learners to complete workbook exercise on distinguishing effective examples of feedback using the criteria mentioned in the facilitator's presentation. This could be a pen and paper exercise. In the next 10 minutes, learners can be asked to write down examples of feedback to their real-life work colleagues. This becomes application exercise. In the next 10 minutes, the facilitator can provide examples of effective feedback in front of the class. This becomes demonstration. In the next 25 minutes, learners can practice giving feedback in triads with each having a turn to play giver or feedback and receiver of feedback or the observer. This is an example of a role play. In the next 10 minutes, the facilitator debriefs learning from the role play and gives out an additional handout on giving feedback in challenging or specific situations. This is reading and discussion. In the last 20 minutes, learners can conduct small group discussion on how they will apply learning and then summarize comments for the large group. This becomes application exercise and discussion. Here are some examples of PowerPoint slides and some tips for increasing their impact. A. Think about your audience needs, concerns, and priorities. B. Write down in one sentence the main idea you wish to communicate. C. Plan an agenda that explains how you intend to cover the information. D. Create visual aids that bring the information to life. E. Use bullets. Bullets are the most versatile way of structuring visual aids. F. Preparation steps, which includes number 1, analyze your audience. Number 2, determine the purpose. Number 3, create the agenda. And number 4, add visual aids. G. Reduce the number of words. Let the bullets serve as prompts for the ideas that you wish to deliver. In the development process, the course developer organizes the learning environment and creates a positive climate that engages the learners and promotes achievement of the learning objectives. The delivery steps checklist. A. List all setup requirements beforehand and make sure someone is in charge of providing them. This includes a laptop, projector and remote control, easel and flip chart, copies of training materials, 10 cards for learners, names, enough tables and chairs, etc. B. Get to the training room an hour early to set up the room, test the equipment, and make sure all materials are organized and ready to use. C. Obtain the phone number of the venue's technical support team in case a problem arises during the day. D. Find out how to operate the room lightings and adjust the room temperature. E. Confirm arrangements regarding break times and lunch with provider if appropriate. Locate and check the restroom facilities. F. Greet learners or participants and welcome them as they arrive. Training course opening guidelines. Anticipate the answers to learners' questions. Answer these clearly and logically within the first few minutes of the training. For example, through A. Explain the purpose of the course from the learner's point of view. B. List the learning objectives and explain how these support the purpose. C. Describe the agenda of the course and how the learning objective will be achieved. D. Establish the credibility of the course by mentioning how it was designed and developed. E. Ask participants to introduce themselves in a way that allows them to explain their background and knowledge. F. Consider doing a small group discussion where participants discuss and list their expectations for the training. G. Explain guidelines for the training. Set clear expectations about staying on time, use of smartphones, managing interactions, etc. Conducting learning activity guidelines. Provide transitions between activities so learners understand how each activity fits within the sequence designed to achieve the learning outcomes. Closing training guidelines. In the closing of the training, the main task is to set the learners up to apply what they have learned in the real world. This could be through A. Provide a summary of the training. B. Encourage learners to do a self-assessment of their learning. C. Ask learners to write an action plan. Suggest that they write down their objective, including timeframes and opportunities for practicing them. Types of learning resources. A. Learning guide. It is also known as the learner's manual, which explains the content of the course by including the full content and describes details of each topic for the course. B. Learner's workbook. The learner's workbook consists of the learning resources that participants will follow in the training room. C. Support materials. The support material, on the other hand, helps participants to carry out activities through instructions on what to do. D. Presentation materials. The presentation material is the story of a training session and helps participants understand the facilitator's instructions. E. Facilitator's guide. It's also called an instructional guide. It's not distributed to the participants, but used by trainers or facilitators. It ensures that learning objectives are achieved through instructing trainers or facilitators on how to deliver the course.
The digital version of this work has been derived from a book titled Training Manual Guide for Life Skills and Work Readiness Programs, jointly authored by Professor Charles M.M. Ondieki, a lecturer at Multimedia University of Kenya, and Mr. Kaheho Ndungu, the Chief Executive Officer of CAP Youth Empowerment Institute. We highly appreciate their contribution towards the learning and teaching of life skills and work readiness skills in Kenya and the rest of the world. This digital version of the book will be very useful to both learners and teachers or trainers.